The boy woke up to find himself in the girl's pajamas and that the feeling on his chest was not right. "Sister, what are you doing?" "After undressing in front of the mirror, I found myself a woman." Futaba is the daughter of the shrine, and her mission is to carry on the traditions of the shrine, and at the time of the sacrifice, she should wear traditional clothes, dance with her sister under the moon, and the most important job is to make chewing sake. The girl chews the rice in her mouth and then spits it out to let it ferment naturally, a tradition that has lasted for hundreds of years. But it's still a shame to eat the rice in your mouth and spit it out in front of your classmates. That night, she yelled at the lake, "I don't want to live in a small town anymore, I want to be a handsome guy living in Tokyo." When she woke up the next morning, she found that she had really become a boy, a junior high school boy her age. What a strange dream, even going to the toilet was in 3D. But two leaves go out to sea. Isn't this the Tokyo I've always dreamed of? High-rise buildings, busy traffic. She finally found the school, but it was already noon. As soon as I arrived at school, the two boys asked her to have lunch together, and I went to the coffee shop after school, and the price of a cake here was enough for Eri to eat for a month. But when I think about it, it's just a dream. What's not going to work? What a good dream. At this time, the phone prompts her to go to work. The cakes in Tokyo are delicious, and working in Tokyo is really tiring, and someone deliberately finds fault, and the foreman's skirt is torn by a rogue guest, which is a professional counterpart. Eri is best at needlework, quickly help the manager mend the skirt, the woman's ability is really strong. Taki, Eri looked through the boy's photo album on the phone, found a lot of photos of the manager. It seems that the owner of the body is secretly in love with the manager. She left her name in the palm of her hand, wanting the boy to know that her name was Futaba. When Eri woke up the next day, her sister asked her, "Didn't you touch your chest today?" Through the description of her classmates, she found that she had a very amazing time yesterday, and Eri, who didn't dare to speak loudly on weekdays, was like a lightning bolt yesterday. At this time, both Taki and Futaba realized that they were not dreaming, but had changed their bodies with the owner in the dream, 2 to 3 times a week, for unknown reasons. The memories of the exchange will disappear after waking up, and in order not to destroy each other's lives, they made an agreement and recorded each exchange in their mobile phones. Before this mysterious phenomenon is resolved, both sides have to try to live each other's lives as well as possible, such as Taki can't sit with his legs apart when he is a second leaf, jumping and shaking wantonly. Futaba can't eat cake like crazy when he is a Taki. They both think that each other is a weirdo, and their daily routines are messy, but they also try to adapt a little bit, and they are so busy every day that they don't notice. Actually, Taki lives in 2016, and Futaba lives in 2013, and swapping bodies is not a little good. For example, with the efforts of Eri, Taki successfully went on a date with the foreman manager, but on the day of the date, Taki and Eri were replaced, and he himself didn't know how to find a topic, and the date was a mess. In the evening, he dialed the number of the second leaf for the first time, but no one answered on the other side. After that day, they never exchanged bodies again, and after a while, the phone couldn't get through, the email couldn't be sent, and Taki decided to go directly to see Futaba. But he didn't know the exact address, only the general scenery of the town, so he could only ask around aimlessly, accompanied by 2 friends, but there was no clue after looking for a day. When it comes to finally giving up, the husband and wife of the ramen shop provide clues that the town is called Amamori, but it has been destroyed by an asteroid 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 1/3 of the residents of the town died of natural disasters. What is this? Obviously a few days ago, we also exchanged bodies. At this time, Taki turned on his phone and found that the notes left by Futaba were gone, and they returned to the library, and Taki, on the list of victims, found Futaba's name. Taki's desperate convince himself that this was a dream, his own delusion, that it couldn't be true. How could he exchange his body with the person who died 3 years ago? Early the next morning, he left the hotel first, and with the help of the ramen shopkeeper, he came to the top of the mountain where he was guarded, which was the place he had been in the body of the second leaf. The big tree in the plain, it's exactly the same as in the memory Taki's water passed. In the shrine under the tree found the chewing wine made by the 2 leaves. Taki swallow it in 1 gulp. I hope that the time can go back to 3 years ago, but on the mural, I saw the intersecting comet pattern. He saw Futaba's life, from her birth to her mother's death, to her father's departure, to the 2 of them exchanging bodies, and when time came to the day the comet came, Taki saw everything. He desperately reminded Futaba to run away, not to go to the summer night festival, and to get out of there. When I opened my eyes again, I became a second leaf again, and I was still alive and well. He cried bitterly. While confirming it, he pounced on his sister. At this time, Grandma also recognized him. It's not 2 leaves. It turned out that when my grandmother and mother were young, they had changed bodies with people, but they couldn't remember it when they got older. Taki tells his grandmother that a comet will come tonight, and Taki must rescue everyone from the guard. Fortunately, he has 2 dead friends, willing to believe in Futaba's words unconditionally. The plan is to hijack the town's radio band, announce the disaster avoidance broadcast, let everyone survive. But this kind of words, even if the mayor is the biological father of the second leaf, it's not easy to make it. But when Taki's tie was pinched by the mayor reacted. He's not the second leaf, he's from the future. At the same time, on the other side of time and space, Futaba wakes up in Taki's body, and she sees the town disappear and realizes that she may be dead. In fact, 3 years ago, Eri went to Tokyo. I made a lot of calls to Taki, can't get through because I don't know the specific address. Eri looked for a long time, finally saw Taki in the subway. But Taki doesn't know her because it was 3 years ago. And Taki, who are you? I'm sorry. In Taki's eyes, Futaba is just a strange girl, but when he got out of the car, Futaba still plucked up the courage and handed the knot to Taki. They finally heard each other's voices on the crater, and with the help of dusk, they saw each other. As soon as they met, they talked about the chest, Taki's return of the knot to Futaba, and tell her about the comet's fall tonight. At the end of dusk, Futaba and Taki's names on each other's hands. But after Taki's writing, 2 leaves didn't have time. Taki's helpless, forgot the name of 2 leaves. That night, 2 leaves called the Dead Party. The Dead Party brought explosives from his father's construction company, blow up the town's power station, broadcast a notice that the power station explosion is about to cause a mountain fire. Everyone immediately rushed to avoid the danger, take refuge in the playground of the high school. But without the participation of firefighters, it is not possible to have so many people acting at the same time. Futaba desperately looked for his father, and told him with a firm look that all the residents had to leave the summer festival, but the comet still followed the established trajectory, smashed down, and the guard disappeared. A few years later, Taki had grown up and started looking for a job. For several years, he had been following the news of the Guardian, and before the meteorite landed, the mayor led all the residents in a disaster evacuation drill, and coincidentally avoided the natural disaster, and the mayor has been transferred to the city since then. Obviously, Takiki has no relatives living in the department, but he feels extremely lucky. A few years later, Taki and Futaba finally meet, they cross the bond of time and finally find each other, which is the end of the story.